Silence. Not the gentle hush of twilight, but a suffocating void, thick with unspoken truths and shattered legacies. Imagine the echo in a grand mansion after the storm has ripped through, leaving only debris and whispers. That chilling silence now blankets the Hackman dynasty. Gene Hackman. The name itself, once synonymous with Hollywood grit, a titan carved from granite and silver screen charisma. He built an empire, brick by brick, blockbuster by blockbuster, shrewd deal by ruthless deal. But now, that empire is crumbling, the foundations shaken by time and mortality. And for the first time, the heirs to this legendary fortune and fiercely guarded legacy are breaking their silence. From the ruins, three voices emerge: Christopher, Elizabeth, Leslie, names once mere footnotes in the towering shadow of a Hollywood god. Names now heavy with the untold stories of power, whispered scandals, and long-suppressed revelations. This isn't some nostalgic stroll down memory lane. It's not a plea for sentimental closure. No, this is about something far more consequential. It's about reclaiming power in the vacuum left by a legend, fiercely reshaping a narrative long dictated by one man, and seizing control of the staggering Hackman fortune, a prize estimated to be worth upwards of $120 million. This isn't just a family in mourning. This is a dynasty locked in a silent war, a high-stakes battle not just to protect, but to own their birthright. And when you dare to pull back the shimmering curtain of Hollywood myth, what grotesque beauty is revealed? A story of power, obscene wealth, and unchecked influence, twisted and tarnished in the shadows of closed doors. Brace yourself. The Hackman dynasty is about to be unsilenced. Gene Hackman wasn't born with a silver spoon, more like a rusted tin one, if anything at all. His origin story is pure Hollywood gold, the kind they love to mythologize, the ultimate rags to riches legend. Raised in a fractured home, practically estranged from parents who were ghosts in his young life, Gene, barely a man at 16, lied about his age and enlisted in the Marines. There, amidst the harsh discipline and brutal hierarchy, he forged his character, learning the art of control, the weaponization of discipline, traits he'd later wield with surgical precision in the viper pit of Hollywood's power games. By the time he hit 30, Gene was a New York actor scraping by, a perpetual paycheck away from disaster. Odd jobs, fleeting roles, ramen dinners, that was his reality. Then, in a cinematic lightning strike, came Bonnie and Clyde. Suddenly, the first jolt of real money, the intoxicating taste of influence. Gene Hackman was no longer just a struggling actor. He was reborn, a commodity, a brand, a force. Studios, sensing blood in the water, lined up, contracts outstretched, each offer escalating beyond the last. And Gene, he didn't just sign, he negotiated. With cold, surgical precision, he dissected every clause, every percentage point, every potential loophole. He was building more than just a career. He was laying the groundwork for an empire. Then the heavy artillery arrived. The French Connection, a gritty masterpiece that cemented his iconic status, followed by the chilling paranoia of The Conversation. Suddenly, Hackman wasn't just famous, he was a kingmaker. Directors, once titans themselves, now angled for him. Studios, the monolithic powers of Hollywood, caved to his carefully crafted demands. His roles didn't just make movies. They minted money, grossing hundreds of millions at the box office, each dollar a testament to his growing power. And with those colossal paychecks flowed real estate. Prime Malibu beachfront, sprawling Santa Fe ranches echoing with desert silence, lucrative commercial buildings anchoring downtown Los Angeles. He wasn't just acting anymore. Gene Hackman was in the business of building an empire, diversifying his holdings, hedging his bets, becoming untouchable. And then came Superman, when Hackman, with a theatrical flourish, signed on to embody the villainous Lex Luthor. He didn't just play a villain, he studied them. Legend has it, he meticulously modeled his Luthor on real-world moguls. The Gordon Geckos, the ruthless empire builders, the untouchable one-percenters who shaped the world from the shadows. What the public, captivated by his performance, failed to realize was that behind the scenes, Gene Hackman was quietly, relentlessly becoming his own version of Luthor, a man obsessed not just with wealth, but with absolute control, with etching his legacy into the very DNA of Hollywood. Enter Betsy Arakawa, the enigmatic woman who would stand shoulder to shoulder with Hackman for over 3 decades, a figure shrouded in both elegance and calculated mystery. On paper, she was the picture of refined grace, a classically trained pianist, known for her quiet demeanor and serene presence. But in the hushed inner circles of Hollywood and the cutthroat world of big business, whispers painted a far more complex portrait. Betsy Arakawa was not merely a wife. She was the gatekeeper, the power behind the throne, the silent architect of the Hackman Empire's unseen infrastructure. For years, Betsy controlled access to Gene like a fortress warden guarding the king. If you crave an audience, a meeting to pitch a project, a crucial signature on a deal, even a fleeting photo op to bask in Hackman's reflected glory, you went through Betsy. Friends from decades past found themselves politely but firmly redirected. Agents, masters of persuasion, learned to navigate her labyrinthine protocols. Even acclaimed directors, used to wielding their own considerable influence, found themselves deferring to Betsy's schedule, her pronouncements, her quiet but absolute authority. Some, the romantics, whispered that Betsy was simply shielding Gene, protecting the aging lion from the relentless pressures of the world. Others, the cynics, believed she was the true power center, subtly running the empire from behind the closed doors of their secluded New Mexico ranch. Betsy wasn't just Gene's wife. One longtime Hollywood agent confided anonymously. She was his fixer. Anything important went through her. She had eyes and ears everywhere. Sources close to the family, speaking in hushed tones and demanding anonymity, paint a portrait of Betsy as possessing a razor-sharp mind for business, a financial acumen that rivaled, and perhaps even surpassed, Gene's own instincts. It was, insiders claim, Betsy who consistently urged Gene to pull back from volatile, high-risk ventures, to instead funnel their burgeoning wealth into the bedrock security of blue-chip investments and tangible assets, trophy real estate. Malibu beachfront estates shimmering under the California sun, sprawling Santa Fe ranches whispering secrets of the desert, lucrative commercial buildings anchoring the beating heart of downtown Los Angeles, generating steady, reliable income. Estimates, whispered in hushed financial circles, suggest Betsy's shrewd financial stewardship preserved tens of millions in wealth as Gene's health began its slow, inexorable decline. But power, as always, demands its price. And in the rarefied air of the Hackman Empire, that price was steep. For years, Betsy and Gene retreated to a life of calculated solitude in New Mexico, intentionally distancing themselves from the relentless glare of cameras and the manufactured frenzy of red carpets. But as Gene's legendary health began to falter, the carefully constructed walls of their privacy seemed to thicken, morphing into something akin to isolation. Insiders, once welcome, now found themselves politely but firmly kept at arm's length. Friends from decades past were turned away with carefully worded excuses. Business partners, used to Gene's decisive command, found themselves lost in a bureaucratic maze, unable to get a straight answer, their calls unanswered, their proposals lingering in a void of silence. Then, in a twist of fate so cruelly ironic it felt like a Greek tragedy, Betsy herself fell gravely ill. Hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a name whispered with fear, a rare and terrifyingly lethal illness linked to the mundane horror of rodent waste. Within weeks, not months, but weeks, Betsy's vibrant health withered, her indomitable spirit dimmed. The virus, a silent, invisible predator, stole her breath, and soon after, her very life. The woman who had been the linchpin, the quiet force holding Gene's empire together, was suddenly, irrevocably gone. And Gene, the Hollywood icon, the man of mythic strength and steel resolve, he faded fast, as if the very foundation of his world had crumbled. Cardiovascular disease, a relentless tide, and the brutal, soul-stealing grip of Alzheimer's tightened their hold. The once razor-sharp mind, the legendary dealmaker who had outmaneuvered entire studios and legions of agents, was now adrift in a fog of confusion and fading memories. Family sources, their voices heavy with grief and uncertainty, confide that they aren't even sure he fully grasped Betsy was gone. He just sat, day after day, staring out the window of their Santa Fe ranch, lost in a silence deeper and more profound than the vast New Mexico sky. When Jean finally passed months later, Hollywood collectively mourned. Fans, a global legion, flooded social media with heartfelt tributes. News anchors, their voices hushed with reverence, delivered glowing eulogies celebrating a cinematic giant. But inside the sprawling Hackman family estate, the real battle, the truly consequential fight, was just beginning. You see, this wasn't merely about the profound grief of losing parents, the emotional earthquake of familial loss. It was about what inevitably comes next: a staggering fortune, a complex and contested legacy, and the fiercely valuable Hackman brand, now suddenly, vulnerably, up for grabs. Gene Hackman's estate, conservatively estimated at $80 million, a figure whispered to climb closer to $120 million when factoring in the labyrinthine complexities of film royalties, sprawling property holdings, and a web of shrewd investments, hung in the balance. And then there was the Hackman name itself. Not just a surname, but a globally recognized brand, a potent symbol of Hollywood prestige, with the potential to generate millions more through lucrative documentaries, authorized biopics, strategic licensing deals, and the burgeoning world of digital legacy. But the question echoing through the hushed halls of the Hackman estate, the unspoken tension hanging heavy in the air. Who controls it all now? Christopher Hackman, the eldest son, emerges as the self-proclaimed protector of the family bastion. A former camera operator who chose to remain largely outside the Hollywood limelight, Christopher stepped into the role of caretaker during Gene's agonizing decline, meticulously managing appointments, fiercely shielding the family from the ravenous press, and becoming the de facto patriarch in his father's fading absence. But some family insiders, speaking with a mixture of respect and veiled apprehension, whisper that Christopher's grip on power is tight. Perhaps too tight. Christopher, confided one former family associate, he sees himself as the guardian, the protector of Gene's vision. But there are other visions in play now. Elizabeth Hackman, the enigmatic middle child, is the recluse, the artist who deliberately retreated from Hollywood's insatiable glare, seeking refuge in a world of paint and canvas, far from the manufactured drama of celebrity. Elizabeth, sources say, was often fiercely at odds with Christopher, their clashes simmering beneath the surface of strained family gatherings, particularly over how to steward their father's legacy. She reportedly vehemently opposed what she viewed as the crass commercialization of their father's memory, the selling off of iconic memorabilia for profit, the authorization of tell-all biographies promising scandalous revelations. Elizabeth, a family friend, revealed, she wants to preserve her father's art. Christopher, he's thinking about the bottom line. And then there is Leslie Hackman, the youngest sibling, the polished communicator, the family diplomat. She's the one adeptly fielding press inquiries, managing carefully orchestrated public appearances, and, crucially, is said to be spearheading the prestigious Hackman, a legacy-in-motion film exhibition, a tribute project carefully positioned to control the narrative. But even Leslie, with her composed exterior and public-facing role, is feeling the immense pressure. Rumors, fueled by Hollywood's ever-churning rumor mill, swirl around her. Whispers that she's secretly entertaining lucrative offers from major streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, for a high-profile documentary series. A series that insiders hint could peel back even more layers of the carefully constructed Hackman facade, potentially exposing long-buried family secrets in exchange for a multi-million-dollar payday. With the legendary patriarch gone, the Hollywood sharks, ever vigilant, are now circling with predatory focus. Studio executives, sensing a once-in-a-generation opportunity, are locked in fierce battles for the coveted rights to Gene Hackman's life story. Streaming giants, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney+, have reportedly launched bidding wars over potentially explosive documentaries and prestige biopics, each vying to claim the definitive Hackman narrative for their platform. Names like Clint Eastwood, a contemporary and sometime collaborator, and Dustin Hoffman, another acting legend with his own complex history in Hollywood, have been floated as potential interviewees, instantly adding prestige and exponentially more money to these high-stakes projects. Imagine the promotional power of Eastwood reflecting on Hackman's legacy, Hoffman dissecting his craft. The streaming wars are about to get personal. Then there's the Hackman Archive, a treasure trove of Hollywood history, a potential goldmine for the right buyer. Thousands of original scripts, dog-eared and annotated with Gene's handwritten notes, private letters, offering glimpses into the actor's rarely seen inner world, candid behind-the-scenes photographs, capturing unguarded moments on legendary film sets, and perhaps most tantalizing, personal journals, rumored to contain decades of unfiltered reflections, industry insights, and potentially explosive secrets. Insiders, their voices trembling with excitement, whisper that these archives are worth a king's ransom to the right media conglomerate, with some deep-pocketed media companies allegedly offering seven-figure deals just for access. But with such colossal money comes exponentially bigger risks. Lawyers, sharp-toothed and strategically ruthless, have been called in, armies of legal eagles descending on the Hackman estate. Family factions, once simmering tensions, have solidified into distinct camps, loyalties divided, agendas clashing. One side, led by Christopher and perhaps Elizabeth, ostensibly wants to protect and meticulously curate Gene's carefully crafted legacy, to control the narrative and safeguard the family name. The other side, perhaps fueled by Leslie's more pragmatic approach, sees a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to capitalize on the Hackman brand, to strategically cash in and secure their financial future, whatever the cost to privacy and family unity. Here's the cold, hard corporate truth the public remains blissfully unaware of. Long before his passing, Gene Hackman's name, image, and likeness, the very essence of his Hollywood persona, were strategically wrapped into a legally impenetrable entity, Gene Hackman Incorporated, a sophisticated business vehicle meticulously designed not just to manage his vast wealth, but to control and monetize his invaluable brand, even in death. Now, the Hackman siblings, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, are not just grieving heirs. They are shareholders, corporate stakeholders in a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And while they outwardly agree on certain unifying elements, carefully curated tribute events, a philanthropic scholarship fund for promising young actors, all designed to burnish the Hackman image, they're deeply divided on the truly consequential decisions. Should they strategically license Gene's iconic face and voice for cutting-edge AI-powered film cameos, resurrecting him digitally for new projects? A lucrative but ethically murky proposition. Should they greenlight a sprawling, warts-and-all biopic, a project that could rake in millions, but might also unflinchingly reveal uncomfortable truths about his complex personal life, tarnishing the carefully constructed legend? These aren't just family decisions anymore. A Hollywood lawyer specializing in estate management explained. They are corporate decisions, and the potential upside, or the potential for catastrophic brand damage, is enormous. And then there are the rumors. Oh, the Hollywood rumors. They swirl like dust devils in the Santa Fe desert. Whispers carried on the desert wind, growing louder, more persistent, more dangerous. Whispers of previously undisclosed secret bank accounts nestled in the anonymity of Swiss vaults. Offshore trusts shrouded in layers of corporate secrecy. Claims of a long-lost mystery heir suddenly emerging from the shadows, potentially contesting the meticulously planned estate. Rumblings almost too audacious to believe that Betsy Arakawa's power extended far beyond household affairs, that she was not just a gatekeeper, but the very architect of a financial web so complex, so deeply entangled, it may never be fully untangled. Some, speaking in hushed tones in dimly lit Hollywood backrooms, even hint that Gene's vast fortune wasn't solely built on legitimate film earnings and shrewd real estate deals. Murmurs of offshore accounts linked to shadowy entities, hush-hush investments and ventures that defy easy explanation, and even audaciously veiled ties to old Hollywood money-laundering schemes, relics of a bygone, more lawless era. Is any of it true? Officially, no one connected to the Hackman family is talking. The silence is deafening, but the rumors are growing louder, more insistent, attracting the hungry gaze of investigative reporters, tenacious bloggers, and documentary filmmakers, all sensing their next explosive, career-defining scoop. In the midst of the swirling chaos, the Hackman family, in a carefully coordinated PR move, has publicly announced a slate of seemingly unifying tribute projects: a definitive documentary celebrating Gene's career, a prestigious film exhibition showcasing his iconic roles, and a noble-sounding scholarship fund for aspiring young actors. On the surface, it appears to be a genuine effort to honor Gene Hackman's extraordinary legacy, to carefully curate his public image for posterity. But behind the polished facade, seasoned Hollywood observers can't help but wonder if these seemingly benevolent moves are something far more calculated. A strategic maneuver to aggressively control the unfolding narrative, to preemptively manage potential scandals, and, above all, to solidify the Hackman fortune, ensuring it remains firmly within the family's grasp. After all, Hollywood, for all its shimmering sentimentality on screen, isn't exactly known for genuine sentimentality in its power centers. It's known for power plays, for strategic maneuvering, for ruthless ambition masked by dazzling smiles. And the Hackman siblings, thrown headfirst into this treacherous game, are learning that harsh lesson with dizzying speed. Gene Hackman's story was never just about making movies. It was always fundamentally about power, how to ruthlessly acquire it, how to ferociously keep it, and how devastatingly easily it can slip away, leaving only echoes and the suffocating silence of a fallen empire. Now, his meticulously constructed empire teeters precariously on the edge of a knife. His children, Christopher, Elizabeth, and Leslie, hold the fragile keys to its future. But whether they will unite to protect the Hackman dynasty, carefully curating its legacy for generations to come, or tear it apart in a bitter, internecine battle fueled by the relentless hunger for power and unimaginable wealth, remains to be seen. As the Hackman family breaks their long, carefully maintained silence, one stark truth emerges from the ruins. This isn't just a story about grief, about loss, about the bittersweet passage of time. It's a raw, unflinching story about an empire of influence, painstakingly built over decades, now suddenly, terrifyingly vulnerable to scandal, to betrayal from within, and to the relentless, insatiable hunger for power that defines and devours everything in Hollywood. And in Hollywood, that hunger never truly dies. It merely shifts its focus, seeking out the next vulnerable target, the next empire ripe for the taking. The Hackman dynasty, once impenetrable, is now squarely in its sights.